Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Saturday. It's Daryl here. It's 5 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. I want to talk a little bit more about Olivia Troye, Pence's Homeland Security advisor, that actually has firsthand. She's defected from the Trump administration. She now says she's voting for Biden because she's seen firsthand Trump's behavior. So more of her story is coming out. Now, you got to remember, too, there's no book deal with this woman. Let me just say this. Now, Pence is coming out and saying, well, this is just a disgruntled employee. And let's think about this now. What monetarily? Now, because Trump supporters are going to say she's lying, and usually they say, well, it's just for a book deal and all that. There's no book deal involved with this. And as anybody that's held a job ever knows, you don't badmouth your former employer, ever. No matter how bad they were, you need them for a reference. Anybody that badmouths their previous employer is basically screwed. And that's what she's doing. So money-wise, I cannot see how this could possibly help her out. Anyway, her latest comments. She sat in on a COVID-19 virus meeting. This is right at the beginning when the cruise ship was off the coast of California, off Los Angeles, and a good number of passengers, of American citizens, had already contracted and were suffering with COVID-19. And Trump didn't want to let them land because he said right out, it's going to ruin his numbers. Meaning that when those American citizens put their feet back on American soil, they're going to be counted towards the people that are infected and making him look bad. So he lets the cruise ship sit off the coast. So there was a meeting about what to do with this cruise ship. And Olivia Troye sat in on that meeting, firsthand knowledge. And she says for 45 minutes, all Trump did was talk about Tucker Carlson and complain about how Tucker Carlson wasn't helping him. And because I guess it's been a love-hate relationship with Fox News, Tucker Carlson, and Donald Trump. And Trump gets his panties all in a bunch whenever Tucker doesn't pucker up like all the other Fox anchors. So Olivia Troye is saying now that for 45 minutes, instead of talking about these U.S. citizens suffering on this cruise ship and what to do with them, this is at the very beginning of the coronavirus. Instead of talking about them, he complained about how Tucker Carlson was being mean to him. And this is just another reason why she saw that he cares. She said this in her notes that he cares about nobody but himself and his reelection. And okay, so September 20th is the 3-year anniversary of Hurricane Maria. And after 3 years, all of a sudden, and with the Hispanic vote up for grabs, all of a sudden, Trump now sees fit to release $13 billion in aid to Puerto Rico. After 3 years of bad-mouthing Puerto Rico, with 47 days to the election, all of a sudden now, Puerto Rico's best friend is Donald Trump. He loves Puerto Rico. He's got the money right here. Look, I don't know this for sure, but I guarantee he's going to say he's been trying so hard to put out this money, but it was evil Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats that stopped him from helping the great people of Puerto Rico, which is crap. Let's look back. I think we all remember him chucking out the rolls of paper towels. People that just suffered one of the worst hurricanes in history. And he's playing a game of hoops, throwing out paper towels. Paper towel. I remember talking to Trump supporters when that happened, and they didn't believe that really happened. They thought that was photoshopped. Swear to God. All right, So now, all of a sudden, with 47 days till the election, and with the Hispanic vote being very important in Florida, it could mean the difference in his getting reelected or not. All of a sudden, he's Puerto Rico's best friend. Here's $13 billion. I love you guys. I've been trying to get it to you. Let's look back, though, because we all know he was bad-mouthing Puerto Rico. He was basically saying that Puerto Rico was just throwing away money, and we spent way too much money on Puerto Rico, and, you know, it's Puerto Rico is like the redheaded stepchild of America, and he didn't want nothing to do with it. Let's look back to, don't mind the reading glasses, 11:24 a.m., October 23rd, 2018. In a tweet that went on for a while, at the end, he goes, "The U.S. will not bail out long outstanding and unpaid obligations with hurricane relief money." He was absolutely determined. Then, on April 2019, Trump complained that Puerto Rico had received $100 billion in relief already, which was a lie. They hadn't even received half that. And these go on and on. I mean, we saw this 3 years ago. Of course, Trump supporters have very short memories, but now, all of a sudden, Trump is trying to buy the vote in Puerto Rico. Also today, this isn't something I was going to talk about because I haven't done a lot of research on it yet, but Trump, after 4 years, remember his promises back in 2016 about first day I'm gonna reduce drug prices. I'm gonna go to battle with the big pharma. 4 years later, absolutely nothing. All right, and now, again, he doesn't care about the people of Puerto Rico. He doesn't care about Hispanics. And like Olivia Tryoye said, he only cares about himself. And this is so evident with 47 days to the election. And all of a sudden, after 3.5 years of bad-mouthing these people or ignoring these people, Trump is all of a sudden their best friend. It's got to be obvious. I mean, I really hope that most American citizens aren't this big of suckers. Take the money, but don't vote for him. That's what I would do. I take his money, but I sure as hell wouldn't vote for him. All right, and then I wasn't going to talk about this yet, but Trump cards, they're called. So supposedly Trump is trying to work out some kind of deal. He wanted, basically, this is about the drug prices and elderly Americans. He was trying basically to force or to make a deal with the pharmaceutical companies to mail $100 Trump cards, they're called, as vouchers for their medications. And he wants the pharmaceutical companies to pay for these $100 Trump cards to be mailed out to all, like, American citizens over 65. Buying the vote right before election, because he's failed on this promise over the last 4 years of doing anything about drug prices. I remember it was about 2 years ago. He went into a meeting with big pharma execs, talking somewhat tough. And a day or two later, he came out of those meetings and he just said, "Well, I just can't do it right now." I remember this specifically. In other words, they filled his pockets. So the point here is, I really hope that Hispanic Puerto Rican voters, voters of Cuban descent, I really hope they could see through this. And don't make me bring up Melania Trump and the "I don't care" jacket when she went down to Texas to visit one of these detainment facilities, wearing a jacket saying "I don't care, do you?" And we all know that was in reference to the detainees and their total lack of even getting a toothbrush or anything. She didn't care. And although these people weren't American citizens, they were human beings. So I really hope that, like I said, if it were me, I'd take Trump's money, but I sure as hell wouldn't vote for him. All right. I'll be back later with another video. You guys have a good Saturday.